Star Wars trailer dropped for Rogue One, so I wanted to take a break from editing Game of Thrones stuff, A Dragon Raised by Wolves Part 3 in particular, to do a quick little Star Wars reaction and breakdown with you guys. So what I'm going to do is play this trailer. I'm going to watch it with you. I'm going to have to pause it every few seconds due to copyright issues so I can talk about a few things. So let's watch it together, see if we can catch anything, and check out the new Star Wars Rogue One trailer. Really excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. Not too far away now. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about some new Star Wars content. So let's break it down together. Star Wars Rogue One trailer number 2. We got an Imperial shuttle. Little shout out to Luke there from A New Hope. As you can see, he was, standing by the moisture vaporator.
I do it to protect you. So you understand?
I understand.
Okay, so it looks like here that Jen Erso here is having a little flashback here, a nightmare perhaps, of her when she was a child. Her father is going to be abducted by the Empire here, so it looks like her father is being forced to be the engineer perhaps on the Death Star. So this is very cool. She's got personal ties to this. So of course this makes her a perfect candidate to kind of join the rebellion and find these damn plans and get back her father perhaps, if he's still being held against his will. And what I like about this, I'll throw it out here real quick already, is I like how they're bringing in these extra elements from the Star Wars Expanded Universe, now called Legends. It no longer counts, but they can pull this information back into canon as they want. And what we're seeing here, and I talked about this a little bit more in my previous Rogue One trailer a couple months ago, is they're bringing in these other aspects of the Empire, these other facets that people don't really know about if you're just a casual movie watcher. For example, we just saw a Grand Admiral, which is the highest rank you can achieve in the Empire. You have to be appointed by the Emperor himself to be a Grand Admiral. Most people are familiar with Grand Admiral Thrawn from the Expanding Universe, and he's also back on Star Wars Rebels now. So, and of course I talked about in the previous trailer video I did on Rogue One, so you can certainly check that out for more details, is there are more than just regular white stormtroopers. There are lots of different types of shock troopers / stormtroopers. You have jungle troopers, dark troopers, space troopers, sand troopers, all kinds of different specializations. They specialize and train for those type of environments. So they are bringing some of that stuff into this movie. That's what I'm really liking about it. So anyway, you just saw some dark troopers there with a Grand Admiral in the same scene going up to apparently abduct Jen Erso's father. All right, let's keep going.
Stand.
Yep. So she apparently witnessed that. And she's now in an Imperial prison. Alright, let me stop it right here for a minute. Okay, so we just saw her in an Imperial prison. So she's being held by the Empire, probably due to who she is, I'm guessing, because her father is the one probably that built the Death Star, being an engineer, designer, weapons expert, whatever he is. So I'm sure that was against his will. But what I really love about this shot here is it's classic Star Wars. It looks like Star Wars. It feels like Star Wars. Very much like Episode 7, The Force Awakens did, but with the classic stuff, the classic, armor on the stormtroopers. You got the classic Star Destroyer here kind of looming over the city. It's really kind of telling you how big the Empire is and how before the rebellion started and the battle at Yavin 4 with Luke destroying the first Death Star, how much control they really had over the galaxy and how this was kind of looming in people's lives. So I really like this feel here, this big looming Star Destroyer over this city, really showing how much they control. Prison break.
Our rebellion.
Now this shot here is really, really cool to me. This doesn't have to be in this movie whatsoever, but it looks to me like this may be a fallen statue from some Jedi or Jedi temple. Now if you want to know a little bit more history about the Jedi and the Sith for that matter, I did 2 separate videos, part 1 and 2 on Jedi history, as well as a 3rd video on history of the Sith. You can go check those out for more details. But to me, this looks like a fallen statue from some kind of Jedi temple perhaps, or the predecessors to the Jedi, the Jedi. But anyway, they did used to have regular swords that were just force imbued, so they were strengthened by the force before lightsaber technology was introduced by the Rakata. Now the Rakata was an empire that had advanced technology. They introduced lightsaber technology, like I mentioned. They introduced hyperspace technology, and their technology was mostly powered by the dark side of the force. Now for more details on the Rakata, go check out the history of the Sith video as well as the history of the Jedi video, part 1 and 2. A lot of good stuff in there as far as the expanding universe, and how all this came to be. So go check that out. But this is a very cool shot here. It didn't really have to be in here for the sake of the story, but it's a little Easter egg, so to speak, and I think it's really cool and it reminded me of the Jedi History video series. So go check that out for sure. I go into a lot of detail of how all this started way back from the beginning all the way up to where we are now.
Is all that remains to push back the Empire.
Okay, and we see here again the base. This is on Yavin 4, where we saw Luke and the squadrons leave from in Episode 4, A New Hope, to go destroy the Death Star. So this is where the base is, Yavin 4, the Battle of Yavin 4, where Luke destroyed the Death Star, the first Death Star that is is really important in the timeline of Star Wars history because everything is based around that event. So anything after the Battle of Yavin where Luke destroyed the Death Star is called ABY after the Battle of Yavin. Anything before that is called BBY before the Battle of Yavin. So this battle where Luke destroys the first Death Star, again, is an important moment in Star Wars history and lore. And also, just to throw this in here, I heard a few people asking about the Bothans. When Mon Mothma says many Bothans died to bring us these plans, that was the second Death Star. That was not the first Death Star, so this is, again, between episodes 3 and 4 when the first Death Star was going to be destroyed. So I just wanted to clarify that because I had a few people asking before.
I think you might be able to help us.
When was the last time you were in contact with your father?
What is this?
All right, so we see Mon Mothma there and Jyn Erso, being recruited here by the rebellion, talking about her father. So obviously he is the key to building the Death Star, which is a cool twist.
It appears he is critical to the development of a super weapon.
And they confirm what I said. Okay, so they just confirmed kind of what I said about Jyn Erso's father being the key to the Death Star. So obviously he's probably being held against his will, designed this thing or engineered it or whatever. So she obviously wants to reconnect with him. We just saw the Grand Admiral again. And this shot right here is just badass. I know we kind of take the Death Star for granted. It's such a cultural icon now, but this shot, I mean, look at it. It looks like a moon here in the background of this planet. This is just badass cinematography. This feels like Star Wars.
Build this thing. We need to find him.
All right. How many do I need?
They are requesting a call sign.
It's, Rogue. Rogue One.
Ah, so very cool. So they get their call sign, the name of the movie, Rogue One, as they're probably trying to start their mission to infiltrate the Empire to get these plans. We did see an Imperial droid there, and I believe that droid is K2SO or something like that, and it's an Imperial droid reprogrammed that is helping them. So they are trying to infiltrate the Empire here to get the hold of the plans. So we probably will see them go undercover a little bit, and I'm really liking the idea of this ragtag group of people that are not straight perfect people as far as who they need to get the job done. That's kind of what I'm really digging about the new Star Wars stuff. It's got a little bit of a darker theme. It's not so black and white as far as some of our characters.
The power that we are dealing with.
Ah, we just saw a glimpse of Vader there, of course, and the Grand Admiral talking to him about the power of the Death Star. We do have Vader back in this movie, played by Spencer Wilding, but of course he will have the voice of James Earl Jones. You cannot have Darth Vader without James Earl Jones.
With him is immeasurable.
If the Empire has this kind of power, what chance do we have?
So yeah, these shots here are really showing the immense power of the Empire and really the hold they have on the galaxy at this time. So this is really, really cool. And of course, this is what spawns the whole damn rebellion in the first place, right? Because they're so powerful. Now they're building this super weapons. So I think this movie is going to show us a lot about this time period as far as how powerful the Empire became. And I'm loving the classic stuff, the classic Stormtrooper armor, the classic AT-ST here, the classic Star Destroyers, all on the big screen once again. And it's not the 70s or 80s.
We have hope.
So there we saw Forrest Whitaker's character. He is going to be a rebel leader, essentially. He's playing a character named Saul Guerrera, and he was in the Star Wars Clone Wars series. So he's certainly an important character as far as a leader in the rebellion. So he looks to be kind of the wise old man in our story.
Rebellions are built on hope.
So that's a pretty cool little Easter egg there. Rebellions are built on hope. A shout out to A New Hope episode 4. All they can do is depend on each other and use whatever they can get their hands on, which is why they always look like shit compared to the Empire. The bad guys always look cooler.
They've no idea we're coming.
Okay, and I quickly want to mention that we just saw that little scene there where rebels were on that planet that looks like Florida, and I'd kind of mentioned that before in the previous trailer video I did. We're going to probably see some jungle troopers on that planet, and those are the shock troopers or stormtroopers with the camouflaged armor. So I'm really liking how they're pulling out some of this expanded universe stuff, and we're seeing different aspects, vehicles, and personnel of the Empire. Because if you're just a casual movie watcher, you don't really know about the different types of stormtroopers, right? You don't know about the space troopers and sand troopers and jungle troopers. And in these trailers, we've already seen dark troopers and jungle troopers for that matter. So I'm really liking how they're kind of listening to real Star Wars fans here and pulling in some of this expanded universe material.
Hold of this moment. The Force is strong.
Ah, so Donnie Yen's character, the Force is strong. So he might be Force sensitive. I'm thinking he's a Terakasi master here. Now, Terakasi is a martial art in the Star Wars universe. It's been featured in a couple of video games such as Star Wars Galaxies and Terakasi Masters. And he is blind, I believe, but he may be a Terakasi master. But the way he's talking about the Force, he may be a Force sensitive. Now, he's not a Jedi necessarily. You can be Force sensitive and not be a Jedi and know a few tricks here and there. So I think he probably is because he kicks too much damn ass to be blind.
Make 10 men feel like 100.
We'll take the next chance.
Yeah, just the classic battles here, the classic space battles, you know, showing the overwhelming power of the Empire again versus our little ragtag group of rebels. The classic space battles, the classic X-Wings. You got to have it in Star Wars. You can't have a Star Wars movie without a space battle with some X-Wings and TIE fighters. And this is probably taking place during the escape when they have the plans, or it's probably a diversion battle or something like that so they can infiltrate the Empire in the first place to get in and steal the plans. That's just a guess based off what I'm seeing.
Next. You're rebels, aren't you?
Now this shot is really, really cool. I wanted to pause it here because this looks like to be a weapons test perhaps as far as the Death Star goes. We see this huge explosion, or it could be a Star Destroyer crashing in our direction towards the camera. But what I'm really digging here is this shot on the left here. It looks to be the remains of a Jedi temple, and it may go back to that scene we just saw earlier with the fallen statue. So this planet here perhaps has an old Jedi temple or Jedi temple, which was the predecessors to the Jedi Order. And again, refer to my History of the Jedi videos on that. But this looks pretty cool, little Easter eggs, and maybe they'll give us some little hints here and there about the origins of the Jedi, perhaps.
Save the rebellion!
Ah, Darth Vader. Walking in to talk to the Grand Admiral. So we'll see what Darth Vader a little bit. I don't know how much. And they will probably bring in some Inquisitors. Inquisitors are dark side users that are not really Sith, but they were used to hunt down the Jedi. We see that now in Star Wars Rebels quite a bit. Darth Maul was kind of an example of that. He wasn't really going to be a Sith master. He thought he was, but Palpatine was using him basically as an Inquisitor. Darth Plagueis was alive at the time. He allowed that to happen. So these dark side users did help Vader hunt down all the Jedi during this time period. So hopefully we'll see some Jedi Inquisitors in here, and they'll probably pull some of that over from Star Wars Rebels, I'm imagining.
Save the dream!
All right, and that looks to be it. So yeah, I'm really digging this. You know, it's really got the Star Wars feel to it. It's got that darker tone. You know, the characters aren't so black and white as far as their morality and stuff like that. So I'm really digging this look. You know, I'm excited to see Vader back on action. I'm excited to see this story behind the scenes that we didn't know about on how they got these plans. Again, this is a huge event as far as the destruction of the Death Star in Episode 4, A New Hope. This is a huge event in Star Wars history. So I'm really digging this. I'm really liking how Jyn Erso is tied into the creation of this Death Star through her father. I didn't really know that piece until this trailer came out, so that's pretty cool. It gives her a reason to want to go back and take this mission and not just run away like a lot of people would. So I'm really loving how they're bringing in the expanded universe stuff as far as different kinds of characters. We have Grand Admirals. We have the other kinds of stormtroopers I mentioned. I wasn't really excited about Rogue One when I first heard they were doing this movie, but after I've seen a couple trailers now and saw how the story's going, I'm really digging it, so I'm really looking forward to it. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Again, refer to my History of the Sith videos and History of the Jedi videos, part 1 and 2, for more information on the history of all this stuff and how it all started from the very, very beginning. I think you'll enjoy it if you're a Star Wars fan, so I'll leave links to those in the description below. And as usual, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the support. Remember, Smokescreen t-shirts are now available. More designs are coming very, very soon. If you're into nerd-based subscription boxes, be sure to check out Geek Fuel. This month, October, is a Game of Thrones theme if you're a Game of Thrones fan, so you will receive a Game of Thrones item regardless. But also, if you use my link in the description below, geekfuel.com/smokescreen, you will receive an additional Game of Thrones item in your first box regardless. So be sure to check that out. I'll leave the links to all this stuff in the description below. So again, thank you guys for all the support. Be sure to give me a like and a share if you dig what I do here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.